Vinaka and Namaste. You watching Fiji Village Straight Talk. I am Vijay Narayan. A happy Valentine's Day to you, and I hope your Valentine's Day went well. Tonight we have a special show, and after much talk and discussion, we are so happy and privileged that Sri Sathya Sai Sanjeevani Children's Hospital Director Dr. Krupali Tappoo and her husband and hospital chairman Sumeet Tappoo have agreed to come on our show. I was just talking to them before we started, and they said they've never done a show like this, so edge of their seats, because it's always comfortable to be talking about other issues, and they have fronted the camera many times, but this is a different type of show. So thank you very much for being brave to come forward to share with the people out there your stories.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having us today.
Thank you. And we will talk about a lot of community work that you have done as a couple. We will definitely look at that, because that's a huge part of your lives. And a lot of discussion has been taking place in that area as far as the medical sector is concerned, and the entertainment sector. But first, I would like to ask you, Dr. Krupali, your message for Valentine's Day to the people out there.
So to everyone out there, I'd just like to say a very, very happy Valentine's Day. I think on this very special day, what I'd like to share is that, I think that Valentine's Day shouldn't be the only day in the year that we celebrate love and celebrate our loved ones. In fact, I think Valentine's Day should be celebrated every single day of the year. And what I mean by that is, the things that are really important to us, our spouses, our families, our friends, our community. And I think it's really about the love that we have for each and every person. And I think it's not just the romantic love that we talk about, if you're married or if you've got a spouse or a partner. But I think real, genuine, true love that's within all of us, and really which reflects in terms of all that we do, our interactions with people. So I'd just like to say, enjoy today, enjoy Valentine's Day, but treat every day as a special day with lots of love for every single person that you interact with.
Thank you. Sumit?
My wife is right.
Valentine's Day,
Valentine's Day, yeah.
Were you threatened to say all of that, my wife is right tonight? Or?
Absolutely.
No.
Happy Valentine's Day to everyone. It's a wonderful occasion to share love, give love, and like Krupali said, I think every day should be Valentine's Day. The world needs more love.
Totally agree, and one of the things we see a lot of talk right now is about making sure there's proper respect for women. There's been a lot where there's partner violence, spousal violence, and we also stress that all this can be overcome if we let love prevail and make sure that we see true love for what it is. And we encourage people to take this path based on what has been said, that don't wait for Valentine's Day to say I love you to someone who you really care for. And that is very important. So on that note, I'd like to start by asking Sumit, how did you two meet?
I knew Krupali from when I was young in Suva. I grew up in Suva. Of course, I moved overseas. I did my Form 6, Form 7, Year 11, Year 12 in Sydney. So then, we kind of lost touch. But late 2005 is when we met, and it kind of like a sort of organically came together, sharing similar values, similar thought processes, and we got engaged a year after that, 2006, and married in 2007. So I guess looking back now, today I can say there are some, they say marriages are made in heaven, and I think we truly believe that, because coming together was not just for marriage, but for a higher purpose in terms of helping, which we'll talk about later on. But yeah, that's what our relationship has been. It's been something where we've come together with a common vision and with that common desire to make a difference. And I think that's what connects us. That's our bond.
Dr. Krupali, about fate and destiny, as Sumeet said that you knew each other when you were growing up in Suva and then meeting in Australia, and of course, and then things eventually resulting in you getting engaged. Did you ever think when you were in Suva that you would be spending the rest of your life with Sumeet?
Well, I don't think I imagined or thought about that, to be really honest. And I sort of knew of him, but I didn't really know him very well, when I was younger. But, as Sumeet says, things sort of, I would say it's really started off as friendship, which developed into something that was a lot more special. And I think it's not just about, liking someone or not just the attraction, but I think really understanding and getting to know each other. I think that was really what it was for us. It was getting to know each other as individuals, as people, and what we, were planning or wanted to do in our lives. And, we have very different careers as well. And I think sometimes that's a really good thing.
I agree, actually. She's a doctor. I'm the furthest away from a doctor. A singer is not anywhere near medicine, but it's all connected. You call us on a day which celebrates love, and I think that's what we're about. Because here as a doctor is about helping people. Me as a singer is about expressing, the language of the soul. So at some point somewhere the common factor is that love.
Bringing joy and happiness to the people
Absolutely.
plays a big part in that.
Absolutely.
Now, in relation to some of the factors that played a huge part earlier on, of course, relationships develop, objectives, goals change. How was it when you started off in terms of what were the huge factors that were some of your motivations at the time?
To get married to her? She was very beautiful. But more than that, like Krupali said, it was our mindset, our desires, the vision. I've kind of been very into spirituality for a long time. She always said she's not, and she wasn't. But the reality was that she was, because spirituality is not about going to a church and praying. Spirituality is not about going to temple and praying, or gurdwara or a mosque. It's about how much you can love. And I think that's like I said, that's our common bond. And that's where I think was the gelling point for us. Initially, obviously, there's always challenges because we've got very different careers, but that common desire has kind of kept us together.
What about from you and Dr. Krupali?
I would say, when we started off, 2005, I was a trainee intern. 2006, I did my internship. That was a difficult year, working in a big hospital. That was CWM at that time, and you're working, doing 34-hour shifts, 12-hour shifts, 24-hour shifts. It really tests you as a person, as an individual, as a doctor as well. And but I survived the year, and I think I appreciate all that I learned, and at that time it was really about getting my medical degree, and for me to get through my internship. And I think at that point in time, I sort of always, or for a few years prior to that, had felt that I would like to live in Australia. And that was something that I was quite keen on in terms of furthering my medical education, postgraduate training. And so, at the end of 2007, after we got married in the middle of 2007, I actually moved to Australia and started living there. And for Sumeet, it was a bit of a journey because he had to travel between Australia and India. It wasn't always easy. It's challenging for both of us, but I think we respected each other in terms of not just as people, but what we enjoyed doing. So I was passionate about medicine and working as a doctor. He was passionate about music and singing, and that was really important to him. And it was something that he had to do in India. So, we were thousands of kilometers away, but we would still talk every single day. And when we met, of course, that was always, incredible and amazing. But I think we really respected each other and appreciated what we both wanted to build in terms of our careers.
And that's the thing with our careers, medicine, as everyone knows, is taxing, long hours, and so is music, because people see us performing for 3 hours and say, oh, the rest of the time is probably sleeping. It's a common, what exactly do you do? It's a very common question for us, for all musicians. But actually, it's a lot of hours of investing in what we do, in recording, in training, and in getting things out there. So, different careers, but very, very, taxing on ourselves and each other as well. Because as a doctor, I had to respect her hours. So when I would come to Australia, even despite the fact I would come home after some time, it wasn't as if we could spend all the time together. And the same thing, her as well, when she came to India as well. A lot of times I'm performing and recording. So it's not a very, very unconventional marriage, I would say. But like Krupali said, I think there's the respect for each other, which is very important. Understanding as well. I think a lot of couples kind of fall away, and fall out of love because there's not an understanding of each other's desires. There's a lack of respect for each other as well, and a lot of time people say marriage is about compromise, and a lot of youngsters always talk to me about this. I say it's never about compromise. It's always about understanding. So when you adjust after you understand, there's nothing to compromise about. Compromise is about giving something up.
That's well said. It goes into my next question about nurturing a relationship. When you're spending time together, you're growing together, as we discussed that, how you grow together, how you respect, how you stand next to each other to ensure the other person is growing and nobody's pulling each other down, and it's not filled with jealousy, etc. Just asking about the nurturing part. How often and how critical is that to a relationship?
I think it's very critical. I think that nurturing of the relationship, that time, the effort that you put in the relationship, in the marriage, I think is really important. It's not always easy. It can be difficult. It can be challenging, but I think really important to spend some time with each other, to talk to each other, understand what the other person wants, understand what what you want and what your needs are, and have a way where both of us sort of got what we wanted. But there were times when we had to work things out. As we say, life is not always easy. I think that if you understand and if you adjust a little bit, I'm not saying compromise, but certain things that I really enjoy doing, which Sumeet might not really be keen to do, but he'll accompany me because he knows it's going to make me happy. And there's certain things that I wasn't too interested in. For example, when I used to visit him sometimes in India, there used to be some very classical Indian concerts, and that was something that I wasn't so keen on, but I accompanied him and went with him because I knew that it made him happy. And along the way, I realized that it was actually quite nice. So I think it's working with each other, and sometimes doing something small that will make the other person happy.
It's the company that matters.
Yes.
Well, you can be anywhere, but nurturing
and
relationships.
And the space. Yeah. I agree with what she said. Also, the ability to let the other person do what they want, and not having to always be. You don't have to be part of everything. Yes. The space is very important. It's especially in today's world where we're kind of all very, very busy. Everything's about the phone, about social media. So above everything, trust. Yes. That is the underlying basis. That kind of, from the very beginning, that's something that we spoke about even before getting engaged, the trust factor. Because I'm in a career where it's a very public life. You sing, you perform. You have adoration, so the trust is very, very important. Above everything is the ability to know that, the other person will not do wrong. That goes a long way. I've always appreciated that from Krupali, the trust that, that the relationship is safe, the understanding. And you talk about nurturing, nurturing something is something so vital, because that's what makes you grow as a person. You know, you also mentioned pulling someone down. So these are the things which inhibit us from expanding as a person, growing as a person. But if you can have that vision to grow, you can have the vision to nurture continuously by having respect, by having the trust, then you grow in life as people. Like we see ourselves today. You know, it's not something we talk about. You're making us talk about this, Vijay.
No, I know you're really nervous to talk about, but it's important. I'm sure people are enjoying listening to your conversation.
I hope so. But we look at where we were in 2007, from when we first got married to where we are today. Like, we have grown as people. We have matured as people. We have the ability to make good decisions, and we always learn. We're not always right to make good decisions, but you mentioned something which caught my attention, was that people need to be respected. There's a lot of violence in society. It really angers me a lot, where sometimes women are not respected, couples not respected, people don't respect each other. That is something which needs to be eradicated from society. There has to be very strong education, there has to be a strong campaign, there has to be very strong policing of this matter. We have to wipe it out of society. The education needs to be about what we need to become. And I think for Krupali and myself, it's always been about, what do we want to become? We want to become better people. We want to become more spiritual. Not religious, more spiritual, because spirituality means that your ability to love. And we always tell each other that and we always improve after an interview. We will talk. If I see her on camera, she sees me, or giving a speech somewhere, we always say, hey, we could have said this better, could have said that better. Sometimes there's situations where we always give each other feedback, because we know we want to grow. And at the end of the day, it's about our perspective today, our situation today, our mindset today is about expansion of love. That's what we want to do. And I think that reflects in our careers.
Now, Dr. Krupali, what are some of we talked about in life, there's always challenges. In a relationship, that's what makes a difference when a couple face challenges and how they deal with it. What are some of the biggest challenges that you've had to endure along the way?
I think for us, one of the biggest challenge would be, the distance. We often live, miles apart, and so that can sometimes be challenging. I think you miss you sort of miss each other, because there are many weeks where I would be, in Australia, he would be in India. So I think that distance for us was challenging. And I think that would be one of our biggest sort of challenges. And I think along the way, after we had our daughter as well, it was probably a little more challenging, because I also had to play more roles, and I understood that he needed to be in India as well, but it was probably a little more difficult when you've got a child in the picture that changes the dimension, changes things in life. And I think then it's not just about the two of you, it's about the child. And our daughter Sathya was born, and I think that really changed things for us. Of course, brought a lot of joy in our lives, but also I think was a bit challenging. But I think it's about supporting each other as well. And I think, just following on from something Sumeet said earlier, I think we both realized that what we do really matters, and we support each other. So I remember, a few years ago when I wanted to do when FNU had offered me a role to work as an assistant professor in family medicine. And I thought for a little while, I'm not sure, I've got a lot on my plate, I'm not sure if I should actually do this. But Sumeet really supported me and said, look, you really should, because you can make a difference. And I think that support is really important. Challenges will be there, but I think the support is very important. The other thing that I just wanted to mention, we talked about trust, but I think honesty is very important. We really need to be honest, and giving honest feedback as well. Sometimes, you might feel a little upset or hurt, but I think it's so important to be honest with each other, because you cannot live a pretentious life. And if you're living as a couple, you really have to be honest.
Sumeet, as far as you're concerned, the challenges you've had to endure?
I think very similar, because being away, having very, very busy careers on our own. She has a busy career, so do I. I think we're both very driven. It's not as if one person and the other person isn't. We're both very driven. We have our own goals. Not all the goals are exactly the same. So we're pursuing our own different goals. We are, we're working towards it. We're also, those are the challenges, because you've got to deal with it. It's a real life situation. It's, and of course, having Saisha, our first daughter, we're two daughters. Saisha is 15, Mira is 5. So when Saisha was born, obviously, for me as well, being away from family and missing her, because it's only when you have a child you know how precious it is. But at the same time, I think one thing about my career is that I don't have a 9-to-5 job. It gives me the ability to spend or to shape my day, my week, my month, my year. So there's a lot of times where I would, for example, when Saisha was born, I happily took 3-4 months off, and just spent with her, newborn. There was beautiful times, and I continue to do that. There's times where you spend. I say I'm very blessed, because I don't have to report to work at a certain time. I don't work under anybody, and I can take time off and be with family, and I've done that, and that's what I'm very blessed, to be in a career which gives you that.
Oh, we talked about demanding schedules. You talked about your two daughters, and it brings a whole new different dimension when the family starts growing. How do you make sure you continue to prioritize what matters with the demanding schedule?
So I would say that my schedule became more and more demanding over the years. When I worked initially in Australia, I worked in hospital settings, but that was one job, one role. It was demanding, it was long hours as well. But I would say when I moved back to Fiji in 2016, I was working as a GP, but I was also working with the Sai Prema Foundation. And so that was an additional role that came into play, which demanded much more from me, more time, more effort, and at the same time still working on my normal job. And as a GP, as a doctor, I still have a schedule where I need to see my patients 9 to 5 or 9 to 4, and trying to fit other things in, and often realize that I had to do more work at night or in the morning. So just trying to do as much as possible. And when the hospital came into play, it added another dimension, because it meant that I had my clinic, which I was doing my clinical work from. The hospital needed more attention. There's a hospital is like another child. And Sumeet and I often say that's our third child, because it demanded a lot from us. Also, I do teaching at the Fiji National University, which is a third role. I do part-time teaching, but I'm involved in exams, in workshops, in delivery of some of the curriculum for our students. And of course, I'm a mother as well, and our two daughters, Saisha and Mira, need me as well. So it's not easy. It's a lot of juggle. It's a lot of balancing. It's a balancing act, and you don't always get it right, but you do your best. I think I do my best. Some days I feel a little guilty that I didn't spend enough time with the girls, but I try and make up, try and do my best that I can work harder and spend more time. But I think it's doing what's most important and necessary in that particular day or at that particular time. And I think everyone can tell you that you can never get it right. As much as you want to have work-life balance as well, it can be difficult when you've got lots of roles and a very demanding schedule. And sometimes from the outside it might look easy, but it really isn't. It's constant sort of thinking, processing, working, and not a lot of time for leisure as well, I would say.
Someone asked me about work-life balance.
Yep.
I said, I don't work-life
What is
balance.
that?
I have life-life balance.
Yeah.
Because for me, whatever I do is my life. It's not about work. So I always say it's life balance. To answer your question, obviously, with our daughters, I think we're blessed with two angels because they're very understanding. They're also seeing the work that we're doing, and I think it inspires them, and because it inspires them, it inspires us. Like a very, very beautiful incident happened, which I often think about in moments when you're kind of stressed out and you're down, and you're not able to give enough time to family. When we were opening the hospital, so our little one, she was 3 then, Mira, she's obviously seeing her mum and dad work around the clock to try and build this hospital. And she used to ask us questions, what exactly are you doing? And we told her, building a hospital for children, we're saving children's lives, and on the opening of the hospital, she presented a little money box, piggy bank. And we had no idea that for 6 or 7 months she was saving money, and that was her way of contributing towards the hospital. No one told her to do that. She did it on her own. And that $110 meant 110 million to me. Because if by our actions we could inspire a 3-year-old, that's what the world needs. And so there was a very touching moment in my life to actually see that happen. And that's the power of love.
You're watching Fiji Village Street Talk. I'm Vijay Narayan. We'll be back after this break.
I've always resorted to drugs because of the work that I do as a coping mechanism.
You said you started sex work and drugs at the same time?
I was 12 years old.
Do you believe, based on the current situation, your salary and allowances should be reviewed and reduced?
Definitely, I think it should be reviewed to reflect what is there in the market.
Is the government of the day promoting nepotism within our community and hatred towards Indo-Fijians?
Thank you very much. The answer is no.
$1 in $3 of our taxes goes towards servicing our debt. So you can't say it's nothing.
There's also the need to do financial inclusion a bit better.
What is your message to the people who may rate you as not good enough for finals rugby?
Success doesn't just happen overnight.
Fiji Village Straight Talk with Vijay Narayan. Watch it on the Fiji Village Facebook page and YouTube channel.
Wait, where am I?
Oh, you died, bro.
I'm dead? But why?
But that's what happens when you change your playlist when you're driving?
Crashed.
What? No, this can't be happening. I had so much left to do in life. All I do is stare at my phone because I'm Gen Z and we're all antisocial.
Oh.
And I wish I did so much. But by the way, do you guys have Wi-Fi up here?
This is why you should have listened to F96 Drive. You shouldn't have been playing that music.
And you just drive.
No! I can't believe this is happening. I wasn't
When
even
you're done,
in my
yeah?
car and I didn't have
Hell is
car.
that way, yeah?
Wait, what?
Back, you're watching Fiji Village Straight Talk. I'm Vijay Narayan. Our guest tonight, the Sri Sathya Sai Sanjeevani Children's Hospital Director, Dr. Krupali Tappoo, and the hospital chair, Sumeet Tappoo. And we are talking about them as a couple, growing as a couple in the first segment, issues that they've faced, and ensuring that they continue to trek based on their dreams and aspirations that they had. Now, let's go to the Children's Hospital. You said you worked at CWM Hospital, and I believe you continued to work there, and you found out a lot of issues were happening where many children in Fiji needed assistance.
So I'll take you back to 2016, Vijay. So I worked at the CWM Hospital as an intern in 2006. But then I had moved to Australia and I lived and worked there for 10 years. When I came back to Fiji in 2016, the NGO that we work with, NGO Sai Prema Foundation, we organized for a visiting team to come and assist with surgeries for children who were born with congenital heart defects. The director of one of the hospitals in India, one of the Sanjeevani hospitals, the chairman was here end of 2015 and was telling us about what they were doing in India, and that congenital heart disease defects were a big problem there. The conversation we had really made me realize and made us realize that, of course, this is an issue in Fiji. We don't have any specialists that can help these children who are born with defects or holes in their heart. And I remember working as an intern and a medical student, seeing many babies literally dying. They had fluid in their lungs, they had heart failure. We would give them all the medications that we could, diuretics like Lasix and all sorts of things, but these babies would end up dying because what they needed was surgery. They needed an intervention. They needed someone to fix that hole in their heart. But we didn't have those facilities available, Vijay, and that was a reality. And I knew about that. So I said to the chairman of that Sanjeevani hospital in India, I said, it's a real challenge, it's a problem. And he said, okay, we'll be happy to help you. So we actually put an international team together. Some of the members were from India, but we also had some nurses from Australia, a doctor from Oman and the US. And we put a visiting team together. Our team operated at the CWM hospital because at that time, of course, we didn't have the Sanjeevani Children's Hospital. We had the first lot of surgeries that happened August 2016. And that was one of the first tasks that I had when I joined the foundation to help put this team together. And it was incredible to see that we were able to help, save lives of children. And that happened for 3 years. We continued operating at the CWM hospital. But we realized that we needed other
So where did
plans.
Sumeet come into the picture? You came in 2016, back from Australia, and then you've started working in Sai Prema. Where did Sumeet come in?
We've been involved in philanthropy. I've been involved in philanthropy since I was a young child. Family, being devotees of Sathya Sai Baba, a global leader, who talked about love and service. So we're always involved in philanthropy. 2016, when the team came, I'll tell you my story. When every child who's operated, Vijay, is given a gift of life ceremony, because that's what it is. It's a new gift of life for this child. And it was my turn to go to hospital on the 10th day of surgery, and I walked into CWM, and I saw these beautiful 2-year-olds ready to go home after 5 days of open heart surgery. I was speechless, because you see a cut which is that big, an open heart surgery which has happened to save this child's life 5 days back, and the child is running, and ready to go home. And so I picked up this beautiful 2-year-old child. I called the child's mom, and I said to her, I said, congratulations, your child has had successful heart surgery. And she had tears in her eyes, and we took a photo together, and she looked at me and she said, Jesus answered my prayers. I looked her in the eye, I said, yeah, Jesus did answer your prayers. All I said to her was what she told me, that Jesus answered your prayers. And she completely broke down. So on one shoulder of mine, I've got the 2-year-old child. On the other shoulder, the mother's crying. When you cry on a stranger's shoulder, you might do it for a few seconds. Minutes went by, she wouldn't let go of me. And I could feel this energy of pain, coming through, and I was really taken aback. There are certain moments in your life, which changes you. Sometimes you don't know what changes you. This changed me, and I know it changed me. And I'm thankful for that. Because, so after 5 or 6 minutes, the child got uncomfortable and started crying. So I had to gently push off my shoulder. I put the child back in the baby cot. I sat her down in the patient bed. I said, my dear, tell me your story. And she spoke to me for 45 minutes, and and a lot of tears, and a lot of holding back tears from my end. She said to me, Vijay, she said, I'm a single mom with no family support around me. I earn $5,000 a year. Works as a maid in Suva. She said, when my son was born, he was in hospital for the whole year. No one knew what was going on with my son. It was only by chance that they did an echo after a year, and they found a hole in the heart. And she said that when the doctors told her, she told the doctors, yes, they can operate on my son. And the doctors told her, there's nothing in Fiji. You have to go overseas. And she said, okay, you can send my son overseas. The reply she got to that was, we don't have a budget for that. You have to go on your own. And when she asked how much it'll cost me, she was told $100,000. And she said to me, I got brave and I started to collect, money. She said I collected $1,500 from friends and family. And she said $1,500 is a long way from $100,000. But what she said to me would change my life. She said, I went back to my village and I wanted to spend every day with my child and wait for my child to die. In 2016, we had Saisha, we had one daughter. My mind was going back to my daughter. I said, what would it mean when a parent says, I'm waiting for my child to die? And being an international artist, where I fly the Fijian flag around the world, I was very angry. Why is this happening to our country? We talk about the sun, sand and the sea. What's happening here? Then I console myself saying, no, this might be an isolated case.
You're trying to
pacify
look
myself.
At the positive?
Yeah. I said, this might be one case. So anyway, that conversation wrapped up very beautifully. I said, listen, all this is in the past now.
Mm-hmm.
Your son is healthy and happy. You be happy now. So big hug. I gave a little kiss to the child. I walked off and she was waiting for me. And I said to her, and she said, you had a long conversation. I said, yeah, I want to ask you a question. This is what this lady told me. Is it one-off, or are our children suffering? And she said, you get out of the car, you go back up to the ward, speak to all the parents who are going through surgery, whose children are going through surgery right now, and then you come back and tell me. Don't believe me what I say. I went back, Vijay, and I spoke to all the parents, and then all of them told me the two same things. We had no hope, and we had no money. Now, can you tell me for a second, as a parent, if you know that there is something available to save your child, but you can't do it because of money, you can't save your child because of money, how would you feel? That's what got to me. I said, this is not fair. And then we spoke to, it makes me emotional, but we spoke to the doctors, the surgeons, and the founder of the global mission, Sadhguru Sri Madhusudan Sai, who's the founder of the hospital. He's coming in April as well for the 2nd anniversary. And he said, obviously he knew the issue, and he said, Fiji needs to have a hospital. So we began planning, but that was later on. Between 2016 and 2018, between two missions coming in, we obviously realized that the number of children born in Fiji with congenital heart disease, the number of children dying in Fiji is unbelievable. And in 2016, we had planned to build a hospital in 2026. But 18 months later, we said, if we wait for those, by then 8 years, every year we lose children. Is it fair? Is this what Fiji is about? No, not for me. I'm very patriotic. Very patriotic. I love my country. I love my motherland. And I was angry. I said, this should not be happening in our country. Even today, I'm fighting for this cause. We're fighting for this cause. Our hospital is fighting for this cause. Our foundation is fighting for this cause because children are dying. So we said, no, we can't wait for 8 years. And that's when it was decided, with Sadhguru as well, that we'll build immediately. That's how the whole project came about. And it was born out of the fact that, if we don't do it, who will? If not now, when? If not now, never.
What were some of the motivations for you as a couple to get involved?
It was such a natural fit because we at the beginning of the show you asked us about who we are as people. It's hard to tell people who you are, but I hope we've expressed ourselves in the right manner. Our common desire is to make a difference. And this was not just something for publicity, some people serve because they want their photo on Facebook. Some people want to help because they get popular. This is not about popularity. This is not about putting ourselves on Facebook. We try and stay away. I mean, you've been calling us. I put it on record.
Yeah, well,
for a long time now.
It took a lot of time to get you at this table.
If you call me for music, I'll come. But reason why? Because service is not about publicity. Service is about helping people. And so this is a very natural fit for us. And what we've been through, which I'll talk about, or Krupali can talk about, is something that, you don't want to bring upon yourself to build this hospital.
Yeah, that's right. I just want to add something, so of course, we had surgeries at CWM 2016, 18, 19, and there were many factors. It's a very busy hospital. There's a lot going on. There are other visiting teams coming for other, works as well. And we really realized that we needed a dedicated facility, a space where we had all the equipment. We were able to have the whole setup for cardiac care, because that was not something that existed in Fiji. We were not doing open heart surgery. We were not doing anything for children in terms of pediatric cardiac care. And so a lot of specialized equipment is necessary, medications. And in 2016, 18 and 19, Vijay, my personal experience, I think on the first day of the surgery in 2016, I thought, I'll be there for a few hours. I'll make sure everything's okay. I'll go back to my clinic and I'll go and work. But I was there the whole day because there's so many things that we still needed. And I'm on the call with the different pharmacies trying to get some specific medication which was not available. And that happened for a few days. And I realized we really needed a setup that was geared up, machines like the heart-lung machine, heater coolers. There's very specialized things. So we realized that we needed a facility. And I think we also realized a sense of responsibility that in Fiji, we are more developed than our neighboring Pacific Island countries as well, our neighbors. And the responsibility and the sense of we realized that they have no access as well. Their children are dying. And we thought this hospital really would save the children, not just from our beloved Fiji, but from the surrounding Pacific Islands. So a regional facility that would help all the children, help save all the children. And really our vision as a hospital, and I think for both of us, would be to see that no child with a congenital heart defect would die because they cannot afford treatment. There is no billing counter, as you know, in the hospital, Vijay, and there never will be. I think the challenges are enormous in terms of building a hospital. I mean, we'd never built a hospital before. It was a very steep learning curve. Of course, we had experts that were involved as well. a lot of people that we had to talk to, and a lot of my work was on the medical side of it with equipment and other things, and design as well, with working with our surgeons and saying how many beds do we need in the intensive care, pre-op ward, post-op ward, all the components of the hospital. And we spent a lot of time, working and learning and designing the hospital so that it was a space that would be...
On the go, by the way. It was designing on the go. Yeah. Because we wanted to, just following from what she said, because it was every day that we wasted, we would lose a life. So we had to build ASAP, and we had to build on the go. And you talk about obstacles, challenges. Whilst we both wanted to, we're doing this with all passion, and we had a lovely small team, very small team, and we're planning for this hospital. And yet you have obstacles like people not wanting for this hospital to come up. Can you believe that? Some people didn't want this hospital to be built. And you think, what is their mindset? What are they thinking about? If you put a challenge against someone who's trying to save children's lives and you don't support it, what are you thinking about? That angered me. But we said nothing's going to stop us. Rain, hail, storm, shine, whatever obstacles, nothing's going to stop us, because we need to save the children of our country. And I remember when we started the project, we were thinking, having lived overseas for a long time, it was always, I think, a common desire to help our country. And one of the desires that I had, was one of the thought processes I had was, you do a project like this and you'll have everyone supporting you. So my father, who's very wise, my parents both, said to me, you lived out of the country for too long. You won't necessarily get all the support. I said, no, Dad, Mom, don't worry. Aid agencies will come on board. Everyone's going to come on board. There's all these people over here, corporates. And I said, okay, well, maybe for you they might, but they haven't come for anyone else. And 3 months into the project, I realized all the doors were shut. There's no corporates coming on board. There's no aid agencies. There's no embassies, no high commissions. Nobody. They say, oh, it doesn't fit the, what do you call, our objectives. So I'm questioning, what is your objective? If you're not going to save lives, what's your objective? You know what I mean? So anyways, then I had to then use my music. This is why music and this came together for me. I use my music to then reach out to the world and get support. And so we got support from individuals from all over the world, who came forward. Some never came to Fiji, but they still supported something in Fiji, which is very beautiful. But even till today, it's a challenge to run the hospital.
What was the total cost to build the hospital?
So it's a $25 million project, Fijian. That's a huge amount of money, Vijay. We're grateful that the land was granted by the government, so that we are very grateful for. But can you imagine, $25 million, Vijay? And I personally remember talking to so many of the corporates and the banks and the aid agencies, and the sort of things that, we don't fund infrastructure, or we can't fund this, or we cannot fund that. And really, in terms of what Sumeet mentioned about the obstacles about people not wanting this hospital, we were told, in this country, we don't even have an adult cardiac program. Why on earth would you have a pediatric cardiac program? But for us, and I think if people, for those who are listening, when you're an adult and you've got coronary artery disease, or you've got blockages in your arteries, a lot of this happens because of the choices that you've made in your life. If you're smoking, you're drinking excessive alcohol, you've got diabetes, you've got high blood pressure, you've got high cholesterol, a lot of lifestyle factors that come into play. But for these children, Vijay, they are born with this. It's not their fault. And for us, we really realize that sense of responsibility, that really children are our future. And if you don't invest in your children, who do you invest in? So as much as we were told that Fiji doesn't have a proper adult cardiac program, why a pediatric one? I think it's so important. We think it's so important to save the children and the babies. And that's what the hospital and the foundation believe in. And these are our values. And I think it's so crucial, so critical.
And today, hospital will be 2 years old in April. Already 260 lives saved. Families who otherwise would not be able to afford to go overseas. 14,500 plus echocardiograms done free of cost. These 260, heart surgeries done free of cost by incredible surgeons from around the world, incredible medical professionals from around the world. And we're also very grateful to the government. The government led by Prime Minister Rambuka saw the need to support a facility like this. And we got support, as everyone knows, in the last budget. And the support is obviously, to safeguard our future. It's a safeguard, like what Krupali says, the future of our nation. Because if we're going to lose children who otherwise one day could become the captain of the Fiji rugby team, there could be someone who would be leading a corporate, there could be the next Prime Minister of the country, there could be beautiful citizens of our nation, their brothers, sisters, siblings, a child of a mother and a father. Can you put a price to that? You can't. So this is what this hospital is about. It's about creating a future, a better Fiji, a prosperous nation. It's about creating a beautiful future, ensuring that our children live. And that's what this hospital means to the country.
Before we go to the break, Sumeet, some people watching may be thinking Sumeet may have got an open checkbook through the Tappoo's business. If you can tell the people about your connections with the hospital and the Tappoo.
Sure. I'm a very proud member of the family. I'm not a part of the Tappoo group or the Tappoo business. The Sai Prema Foundation has got no links to the Tappoo Foundation. The Tappoo group has its own Tappoo Foundation. They do some wonderful projects in Singatoka, having been born in that region. No, it's been something that we've done on our own. There's no open checkbook. If it was, then I'd have a little bit more hair, and I would have had much less stressful days. But no, that's not the case, Vijay. It's about going to people, individuals, and we've gone as philanthropists and humanitarians around the world.
Actually, I'd like to add something there. We're a very small team in terms of the foundation, and many of our members, and a few of us, of course, we really gave up all our savings. Some of us sold our cars, and whatever money went to the hospital, or whatever little inheritance we had has gone there. People have sold jewelry. It wasn't easy. It was very difficult, very challenging. And, we're so grateful to whoever's helped us, people around the world who made sacrifices for our Fijian children. I'll just give you an example. A couple in the US, they sold a home so that they could help us. They're not from Fiji. They'd never been to Fiji. But you know what? They had the heart because they thought, if I can help a child or children in Fiji, we'll do it. So we're grateful that there's some good people out there who've supported us, but it's not easy. It is very challenging.
The challenges are, one of the best things that we have is, we have each other, we have our parents, mom and dad, the pillars of support that they are. Even our children are an inspiration to us. And of course, you have to have a guide in life. So Sadhguru has been such an incredible, leading light in our life, because he gives us that strength, of spirituality and life. And he himself is Sadhguru is doing projects around the world in 33 countries. Just to put in perspective, they serve about 8 million children a day. So that's the kind of work that they do, that he does. And of course, Fiji is very important for him. So that support from him as well has been phenomenal. So it comes back to love, comes back to support, where we started from, this show. Having the trust in each other, the faith in each other, the ability to grow, the ability to learn, and the ability to dream.
You're watching Fiji Village Straight Talk. I'm Vijay Narayan. We'll be back after this break.
Okay, set. It's hooked up now.
Are you ready to take your lie detector test?
Sit. Ready.
He's lying.
Why are you lying to me?
I'm not lying to you again.
Liar!
So, I wouldn't lie to you guys, honestly.
Really? Con man.
Okay, so now we're getting somewhere. I need you to stop all your little silly games and tell me what I want to know.
I don't know what you want to know.
Goring, body bluffing.
You tell me what's the least popular radio station in Fiji.
FM 96. Huh?
Yeah?
You lie.
Sure. Eh?
I'ma kick back when you fake like that. I'm a header at the game, I don't play back. Would you let me go? No, you never come back. Promise I'ma be that boss, but you never had. I'ma kick back.
Get ready to elevate your event with Total Event Company's top-notch gear hire services. From a stunning 12 by 12 meter adjustable stage and impressive 13 by 13 meter production roof, we've got your event covered. Our gear can fit any venue, big or small. Need tents? We offer 3 by 3 meter pagodas, 6 by 3 meter tents, and a grand 15 by 30 meter marquee tent. Turn your vision into reality. Choose Total Event Company for gear that makes your event shine. Visit the Total Event Company Facebook page or dial 3314766 to get in touch with us.
You're watching Fiji Village Straight Talk. I'm Vijay Narayan. Our guest tonight, Dr. Krupali Tappoo and Sumeet Tappoo. We're talking about it's a special on Valentine's Day, and about this beautiful couple who've done a lot of good work in Fiji and continue to do a lot of good work. Just before the break, you wanted to share something, Dr. Krupali, about the future.
So I think the future, of course, there's a lot of dreams, a lot of hopes and aspirations for the future. I mean, for us as a couple, and also the work that we do with the hospital and our individual, goals as well. I would say for me personally, I have my own private practice. I'm a GP. So, for me as a clinician is to do the absolute best that I can with every person that I see, because they're all very important to me, and to make a difference in anyone's life, I think it's just such an amazing thing to be able to do. With regards to the hospital, of course, this hospital is only going to be 2 years old. It's going to grow as we go along. Can you imagine a 2-year-old child still needs a lot of support? You've got to hold hands to walk. So I think that, with the hospital, we know that over a period of time, what we want is eventually build local capacity as well. We talked about the visiting teams that come. They do a fantastic job. They sacrifice their time. There are so many efforts that they make. But slowly, over a period of time, we want that this hospital will be run, and we train our local doctors and medical professionals. That's something that we're really interested in terms of doing for the hospital. Research is really important. Often people ask, why does someone have this heart defect, or why is this child born with congenital heart defects? And we know there are some genetic factors, maybe some environmental factors, mums having diabetes or uncontrolled sugar, certain medications or infections. But really overall, we need to do more research. And my hope for the hospital really is that that's something that we're going to embark in the near future. And I think it's going to be very exciting, because as a hospital, as a facility, you really grow. And I think when you're involved in research, it really gives you the world also gets to know about Pacific data. At the moment, there's no Pacific data out there. And there's some institutions, that are really interested in supporting us and helping us with research. So that's one of the other things that we're really keen and interested in. On a personal note, I would love to learn how to do echocardiograms as well, echoes. Just need a bit more time. That's something that I'd like to do. Possibly a PhD in the future. And maybe even further training in hospital management, or I just want to get a bit more of that qualification. I'm in that role, managing people, working in the hospital, leading a team. For me personally, those are some of my goals and aspirations. We have 2 daughters. Saisha's 15, Mira is 5. I think I'd just tell you something. What's really interesting and exciting is Saisha's seeing the work that we're doing with the hospital. And she told both of us, last year, she said, I'd like to be a pediatric cardiac surgeon, and I want to help the children, I want to help the hospital. Of course, it's a long way away, but we're so happy that our children are interested in the work that we're doing.
Inspiration has come already.
They're so inspired. And even little Mira, who's 5, Vijay, she's come into the ICU with me. She's seen some of those kids who've had surgery. And she really, you should see how she connects with people and the empathy, the emotions that she has. And, when we have surgery, she'll tell me, Mum, how are the children doing? Oh, I'd like to see them. It's so nice to see the little 5, well, she was 4 at that time, young child so interested in what's happening and wanting to help, saying, oh, I'd like to work in the hospital as well. I want to help all the children. And that's what she says. So, for us as parents, I think that's such a joy to know that our children want to be part of the work that we do because they see the difference it makes. Of course, we want them to get a good education. I think it's so important for everyone to get an education, and that too for women. I think it's very empowering, it's very liberating. And I still remember when I was young, my mum telling me, my mum didn't go to university, and she said that, her hope for all her daughters, there's 3 of us, would be to get a university education, and that education was so important and vital. And that's what I, as a person, as an individual, for me, education was always so important. It's not easy to do a medical degree, to become a doctor, do more postgrad training. I think education is so important for our women, for our girls, because you can stand on your feet, Vijay. And I think when we talk about domestic violence, when we talk about all the other problems that we face in the world, in Fiji and around the world, the women who have a job, who are earning money, find it a little easier to get out of those relationships as opposed to those who are completely dependent on their spouse. So I think so important education, and for our daughters as well, it's about the education and the values that they have are so important. They know that love is so important. They know that you have to be honest, you have to be truthful. So for us, shaping the next generation is important.
You're talking about 2016, Sumeet, and that motivating factor with talking to that mother and that emotion, and then Dr. Krupali telling you, go and speak to all the other parents there. When you think of that time, and you think of it now, with that hospital with a big heart outside, what's your driving factor now, going forward?
There are days where we go through a lot of tests, because we're a facility which doesn't have a billing counter, so it's not as if you can have a profit and loss statement. You have to find the funds. We've always said it is not going to be the factor inhibiting us from saving lives. So we're pushing forward every single day in saving lives, with your handicap of finances. Despite all the problems that you have, when you see a child who's about to die walking into the hospital, and 5-7 days later they walk out running, and the parents saying to us, this is the first time this child has run, or this is the first time this child has eaten. You see the happiness on their faces when the other families come and pick them up from hospital. That's what drives me. That's what drives us. That's what drives the hospital, because it just makes it worthwhile. And if till the end of my life I can keep seeing that, it will motivate me every single day. But we're not going to stop here. We're not perfect as individuals. Personally, it's about growing as a person, becoming more and more. I'm a perfectionist, unfortunately. So I look at myself every single night and I say, I'm not happy. I want to become better tomorrow. Some people say it's a good thing, some say it's a bad thing, but that's how I am. That's how I'm wired. So it's about growing as individuals, as couples, as who we are, what we do. I think very important. So the drive is always going to be there. But I want to see a better Fiji. I want to see a more prosperous Fiji. I told you I'm very passionate. I'm very patriotic. I think we're on the right track. There's a lot to improve upon. I think we can do a lot more. We can do a lot better. I think healthcare needs to improve, and with better education, better healthcare. I mean, I've traveled the world, and the beauty that exists in our country is not everywhere else in the world. We're such an amazing nation. We're such a divine country. We've got so much going for us. The warmth of the people. It's so beautiful. You don't see that everywhere in the world now. Everything's become very plastic. Yet you come home to our country, you see so much beauty everywhere, whether it be externally, internally in people. There's so much good happening for us, and we need to continue to. People need to work hard for us to prosper, to become better. This is straight talk, so I'm going to say it straight. Sometimes I get very upset about this whole, society becoming very politically sensitive, politically motivated, and anger coming out on social media. I think we've got to stop all that. I think what we need to do is politics is, it has its place. But if I relied upon politicians to do everything, then we wouldn't be doing the hospital. But we've said, what? Every single person counts. Government cannot do everything. A prime minister can't do everything. The parliament can't do everything. It depends on the people, you see. We need to say to ourselves, what can we do for Fiji? And that's what I say to people today. What can you do for Fiji? Rather than having, wasting your time on the keyboard and responding to 100 people and creating all sorts of drama and thinking, this is what I think of this person or that person, or creating this racial tension or whatever it is. Stop all that. It's about time we grow as people and we say, with the nation that we are, very few countries in the world are like us. There is not another Fiji anywhere in the world. We are the most beautiful nation in the world, and we can do so much better. So see what you can do for the country. And this is how we need to grow. As people, we need to have better aspirations. And if we can do this, go away from this tension, this hatred, and this drama that's created online, I think there's so much scope for so much good to happen. And that's my vision. My vision is never about myself or about anything. It's about our country, about our world. I give talks around the world, Vijay. And I often motivate youth and youngsters. And that's what I always tell. What can you do to make your home better? What can you do to make your community better? What can you do to make your society better? What can you do to make your country better? What can you do to make the world better? Because if you're not making something better, you're not doing your work. The one from above has not sent us down for that.
Totally agree with that. We'll wrap up now, and just I was reading an interesting article on statistics, because you touched on this issue about social media and how couples, first of all, maybe drift apart because of the device. There's a lot more FaceTime going on and people looking at the phone rather than interacting. There's been studies done in the US that there's less children being born because people are not interacting. They're interacting with the social media and their phones more than anything else, the younger generation. And the latest statistics I was reading this morning is the amount of young people in Australia who are going through mental health issues. It's just alarming figures, and the high level of loneliness.
Yes.
So we are surrounded by this. No doubt we cannot say Fiji is immune from this. We know this is happening. From both of you, what is your advice to people, and how do you ensure that mental health is a big issue, and also making sure that we spending quality time minus the devices, etc. Dr. Krupali first.
I think I agree with you. Mental health is a real issue. It's a challenge. I mean, in my practice, I also see a lot of people who are depressed or anxious or lonely. And it's not just the adults anymore, Vijay. We're seeing more and more children who are having these issues. And definitely the screens, the internet, social media really play a part, because what these young teenagers and people are seeing are all these Photoshop photos of young women or men who are all slim, beautiful, no blemishes, plastic surgery, all sorts of things. And it creates this false impression in their mind that that's what they need to be like. I think that can be a real issue, a real challenge when young people feel that I need to be perfect and this is what I need to look like. And instead of spending time with their friends or where they're talking or doing sports, more and more people are on the device, and it's having an impact on the brain itself, it's having an impact on people's eyes, it's having an impact on really a person as a whole. And I think the way to sort of manage screens and social media, I think there's some good that social media can do as well if you do it in a positive way. And I think if you're spending hours and hours, that really will have an impact. But if you're spending a little bit of time, you're looking through your feed and seeing if there's anything important that you need to do, or sometimes you learn some interesting things as well. And I think these days people read their news as well online. So I understand that it can do good. There's some power in positive social media, but I think we really need to be careful about what our children are accessing as well. There are a lot of videos and there are things that are very explicit, and young children are watching this. It has an impact on their mind. Younger people are involved in sexual activities. There's so many things. Teenage pregnancies, drugs. I think that needs no explanation. A lot of issues with drugs throughout the world, and that has an impact on on mental health. More people become psychotic, aggressive behavior and all of that. And I think the way to curb it is for every individual person to have time away from the screens. And I think you need to spend some time with yourself every single day, even if it's a few minutes, some people like to meditate, some people might want to do some deep breathing exercises, or for some it's really just looking out at the ocean, or whatever it is that you want to do, just to relax your mind. Not looking at the screen, I think, is so important. And I think that the challenges of mental health are far beyond any one person or individual, but I think as a society we really need to ensure that the younger generation are also aware of what's happening. And as parents and guardians, we have a responsibility. We need to be very careful. And I think children as young as 1-year-olds are holding on to phones, and they know how to, turn on YouTube and watch things. So I think we really need to take care, because the child will only have a screen if you give it to them. And I think for adults as well, many relationship breakdowns because you're seeing something on your feed, your spouse or your partner somewhere else. I think there are many challenges and issues, but I think we can curb this if we all work together. I think that's what it is.
Sumeet?
My industry is actually revolves around social media. The music that we launch through Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, so it's a good thing. I use Facebook, I use Instagram, I use YouTube. It's important for a person to know their boundaries. It's important for a person to use it for positive use, not for negative. If it's making you angry, stop using it. If it's making you go away from being yourself, if it's not doing good to you, if it's not making you a good human being, that means you're not using it correctly. You're not going to the right pages. So for me, when I'm on Facebook, I use it for my music, I use it to learn things, I use it or Instagram or just social media and internet. I use it for all the positive things. And any time that I think, look, no, this is not correct, it's not making me a better human being, that means I'm doing the wrong thing. And this is the acid test for me. I think that's very important.
Dr. Krupali and Sumeet, thank you very much for your time. We've discussed a whole lot of issues tonight. They allowed themselves to be sitting here talking about their personal journey so far, individual lives, and then as a couple, and as you know that they are now the chair and the director of the Children's Heart Hospital that does not have a billing counter. It's already saved more than 200 children's lives and continues to do the hard work that lies ahead. We thank you on behalf of our listeners and viewers for coming this evening and sharing a part of your lives with them, and we're grateful for that. So thank you very much.
Thanks very much. Thanks for having us with you, Vijay. I'm always watching your show wherever I'm in the world. So thank you for what you do, and thank you for bringing the issues out. And I think it's what you do is having a very good positive impact in society. So thank you.
Thank you, Vijay. Really appreciate being on the show today. I know we've done interviews together in the past, which have always been wonderful. And I think it's really great that you have this straight talk with Vijay Narayan. I think you have a lot of fans out there and really appreciate the work that you do and bring into light many important issues or a lot of positive things as well. So
absolutely.
Thank you for having us on this very special Valentine's feature. We hope you have a wonderful Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Thank you very much. And that's the end of the show. And until next week, have a great evening.